Okay, I'm going to now switch to Mindspark because there's been a lot of talk about Mindspark that we've done since the beginning of the day. And I want to just run you through a short version of what Mindspark is all about. And then I'll ask some of the school principals who have used Mindspark to tell you about it. So they will be better, I would say, spokespersons for the program than we. But just because I think it's important to set the stage, I'm just going to talk about Mindspark. I was seeing a video where they were talking about educational reform versus educational revolution. Can somebody tell me the difference and what is needed for today? Educational reform versus educational revolution. Reform? How many say reform? Okay, how many say revolution? Okay, the reason why the speaker told no reform and revolution is that reform is trying to fix the same thing that is not working, whereas revolution is trying to look at a new thing. And the new thing that we are looking at is every child learning. So that's what my theme of this talk is going to be, revolutionizing education one learner at a time. So I'll share with the dream that we started Mindspark with and we continue to have is personalized learning. Sridhar has gone through it, my pace, my path, my understanding, my picture. And I think the my picture part is very important because the neural networks in the brain for each child are different. And you look at skill development, you look at talent, you look at anything that I'm standing here talking to you in a particular manner is because some neural networks, some pathways in my brain have become highways that is allowing me to do this. Whereas some pathways are blocked. If you ask me to start singing, I might not be able to do it because those pathways have not been built as much. So these ideas of cognitive psychology, of biology, of neural networks need to start coming into education, and Mindspark is, I think, just touching the surface of it, and it will get there sometime. We talked about a lot of personalized learning for the student, but I think the individualized attention that a teacher can give in the context of personalized learning is very, very exciting for me and for EI as an organization, because now the teacher is freed from trying to teach to the average and teach to each child individually. Today we can't think of it because we're trying to reform the system, but if you think of revolution, you will try to see, okay, this is possible, which is what we think Mindspark can do. And some of the things that Mindspark can do to individualize the attention, we will actually see live today. We will see the topic progress indicator, formative assessment tool, and a rigor builder. You will experience it. So I hope by the end of the day, you will know that at least individualized attention is possible for the teacher. And these two statements that I've written, I can do for the child, which is very, very powerful. Every child should think when he sees a question that I can do it. If that confidence, that's all it needs to take. And most children look at a question and disengage. They say, I can't do it. And then no matter how much knowledge you've given that child, if the child disengages with that question, you're not going to have any output coming from the child. Children make a paper assessment in the first 5 minutes of the question paper, may it be a test, may it be a board exam, may it be anything. They scan the paper, I say, oh my God, I don't know anything. But they start, then you advise them, do the easy ones first and gain your confidence and then go to the next things. So the emotional connect with the problem is very, very important. And when you emotionally connect with the problem, the important thing is to start off by thinking, I can do it. And if every child in the world approaches maths with an I can do it approach, I think it's a huge, huge start. Not with a thing that maybe I can't do it. And every teacher saying, I can help every child in my class. Today, I don't think every teacher has the confidence to say, I can help every child. She will say, I can help. But maybe I can't help every child. I don't have time, I don't have the energy, I don't have the resources. That is what I want to focus on. That every child should say I can do, and every teacher should say I can help every child. Some foundational philosophies of MindSpark. Anybody can tell me who has given the 10,000 hour rule and what is it? Anybody? Yes. Okay. It's a research done which says that to become an expert in any field of choice, maybe music, maybe dance, maybe drama, you need to spend 10,000 hours before you become like top class. Beatles did it. Bill Gates did it. And it became popular in a book by Malcolm Gladwell called Outliers. Right? But Malcolm Gladwell did not create this concept. It was created by this person called K. Anders Ericsson, who is a cognitive psychologist and an expert in performance. So he started this whole concept of 10,000 hours. And with MindSpark, children can do maths for approximately 2,500 hours. In the current situation, the MindSpark, the way it is being done, for an hour a day, 5 days a week or 3 days a week, for 50 weeks in a year, for 52 weeks in a year into 10 years of their academic knowledge. So at least 1/4 of the 10,000 hour rule, MindSpark can take care. And that is what is important, that they focus on it for at least 10,000 hours. And that's what K. Anderson writes. There have been many studies of elite performers. And the biggest difference between people who are there and less performers is the amount of deliberate practice and their willingness. It's not they were forced to do it. It's not they're saying, sit here, do maths. That hour is not counted. The hour with which the child says, I want to do it. I want to excel. I want to play this. I want to learn this. That is the important part that makes us. So approximately, now this is a number that shocked me when I saw it. Children today are doing 3,000 maths questions a year in MindSpark. 3,000. Approximately in textbooks there are 20 chapters, and behind 20 chapters there are 20 to 30 sums. So the maximum they can do are 900 sums if they do every sum diligently. They are doing 3,000 sums. So it's a multiple of at least 6x over their current maths exposure expected by you. Your expectation is 600, they are doing 3,000. That's just the sheer number of questions. Now you take, that's the quantity, then you go to quality. You've looked at the detailed assessment paper, you've seen the quality of questions is something which is of a reasonable level, right? Building rigor, improving speed and accuracy. I think Shekhar will talk about it because he has done a lot of research in SN Kansagara where they have been trying to look at this metric of are kids becoming faster with higher accuracy. They have a very interesting practice in their school that the head of the school gives certificates for children who have achieved a very high level of speed and accuracy in MindSpark. They're rewarded in the whole school. So you're saying this is important for me. Because if you look at competitive exams, if you look at any exam that is going to be important for the child, speed and accuracy are going to be very, very important for this child. So if the child every day is focused on speed and accuracy and is getting feedback on speed and accuracy, it's going to be powerful. Language of maths. Can anybody tell me what would I mean by this statement saying increases exposure to the language of maths? Possibly. Anybody else? The logic. Exactly. Language, I meant the English of maths. A lot of children make mistakes because they don't comprehend the question what is asked. They say, ma'am, should I multiply or should I divide? If you tell them that, they can get the answer. But they don't know for which question what operation should apply. So the decoding part is important that they get rigor. And I don't know if data is substantiated, but we saw when SN Kansagara did Maths MindSpark for 1 full year, their English scores went up. Because the kids were reading so much more English. Every question is in English. Every question has 10 words in English. You're reading that much more English. That's just a hypothesis. I don't know whether it's true, but I think it increases the exposure to the language of mathematics, how it is constructed, and familiarity with online testing. That is going to be a reality in the near future. The Google effect. What is the Google effect? Instant. Instant accurate response. Instant response, that is what you are looking for. Google has set the standards so high that any other search engine has to now match with speed and again accuracy of the response. Now kids who are living online are getting this hunger for instantaneous gratification. If any device does not give them instant response, they throw the device away. One of the speakers said that, okay, I'll do this in this room. How many of us, obviously all of us are above the age of 25. Please raise your hands if you're wearing a wristwatch. If this room was a room of 25-year-olds and lower, they would not raise their hands. And the reason is they think it's a single function device. It does only, it tells the time. We've been used to wearing a wristwatch because that's the way we think and that's the way we feel comfortable looking at the time in a wristwatch. But kids don't look at a wristwatch. They have their mobile, they have their iPods, they have their laptops. It's digital. They are thinking differently. So partly the way these children are wired is very different. So the instantaneous feedback is part of their DNA now. It's not something that if you give them, they'll be happy. They want it now and they want it correct. Seamless experience. The benchmark which educational content providers are going to be fighting against are video games. It's going to be reality. Because the quality of the graphics in video games are almost real. And the kids are living in that age. MySpace, there are other video games that are, you actually become an avatar and you live in that world. And it's almost like real, right? So what I'm trying to say is that this is the world in which children are living in, and that is something that we will have to approach. Increase self-awareness. I was trying to think of, does MindSpark help in emotional intelligence? What would the answer be? One of the central tenets of Daniel Goleman in emotional intelligence is increased self-awareness, that you're aware of your own self. And through MindSpark, your self-awareness of your level of maths is very, very high, right? Motivation and willingness to persist, independent of the availability of an educator. So girl theorists have found that when provided instantaneous feedback on performance, subjects are willing to exert more effort to achieve their objective. So the third point I'm going to make as a central tenet is working at one's level. I think that if I do questions that are above my level, after a certain point I will disengage. Because if I keep getting things wrong, I will not want to continue that negative experience of getting things wrong. But if I start getting questions right, I want to go ahead. Does that happen in video games? Anybody?
Trying at that level, which we don't do with our assessment. You know,
correct.
We try to take children ahead even if they have not understood.
Correct.
Whereas a video game challenges you at a point, you cross that challenge and you go on to the next level.
Right.
It's very exciting and it's very instant.
What it does to me is it tells me where I am, because I know exactly there are 18 levels and I'm at level 3. Okay? And it tells me what I need to learn to reach level 4. And it gives me enough time to reach there. And it's my experience. So to a large extent, if I give exposure to a child, a set of questions that are at the child's level, the child will come out of this I can't do it spiral, which I call the negative spiral, into a positive spiral saying I can do it, it builds confidence and I go up. I might be sitting in class 7, but my concepts might be class 3 level. Today there is no way a teacher can actually take me down from class 5, 6, 3, 2 and work with me there and then get me back up 4, 5, 6, 7. There's just no time. That's what I mean by confidence. Percentage correct answers. As soon as I get more correct answers, I feel confident. In MindSpark, 45% of children who have attempted MindSpark, that is 25,000 children have done MindSpark, 45% have gone below. That means they were sitting in a class whose level was above the level of their current level. They were expected to be at a higher level and they went down. They needed to go down. Currently our system does not give that flexibility for them to go down individually. And 55% of the kids moved up. It does, but maybe not at the level at which the child would want. This is a concept that I just picked up a few weeks back called cognitive apprenticeship. This is what teachers are going to have to play the role of cognitive coaches and children of cognitive apprenticeship, where the important part is the second sentence, the last part. It says the coaching process includes modeling, corrective feedback, reminders to bring the apprentice's performance close to the master. As the apprentice becomes more skilled, the feedback and instruction provided by the master fades. This is the central model of cognitive apprenticeship. The teacher's involvement in the child's learning has to be sliding. It can't be constant. It has to be dependent on the level of the child. If the child needs more, I push more. If the child needs less, I push less. And that's why I think a lot of children have told a teacher, I was talking to Veena, I think she'll be here from Riverside. She said there was a kid in class 9 who was working on a complex topic, and a week back he said, I don't want to do it, I can't get it. Then Veena said, no, you have to do it. And then one day the child came and said, Madam, can you sit down? They sat down on a stair and they discussed a question. And Veena was surprised that the child could remember the full question in his mind. And when he explained the question, he said, ma'am, no, I've got it. She said, why? He said, now I saw it. I could get the picture. And then he did not need the teacher. The teacher is there available if needed. And that makes the teacher's space very, very flexible. It becomes very, very exciting to be a teacher in that space. Because I don't have to tell everything, I don't have to teach everything, I don't have to monitor everything. I monitor only that what is needed. And I give only that help that is needed. That's very powerful. The process. This is how typical Mindspark classrooms work. Monday, Tuesday are just given for the sake of familiarity. Day 1, the teacher activates a topic. Day 2, the children practice the topic in Mindspark. Day 3, the teacher knows what misconceptions have come up. She clarifies the misconceptions. Day 4, the kids do Mindspark again. Day 5, she checks whether she needs to reinforce everything. So assessment and learning are intertwined. They are actually two strands that are becoming a very tight rope. They are going one ahead of the other. I was reading a very interesting book called E is equal to MC squared. Anybody seen it or read it? It's a biography of the equation. Beautiful. I mean, imagine having a biography of an equation. I would give my hats off to the author to have said that my job in that book is to explain the theory of relativity to even an actress. One of the actresses, Drew Barrymore, in an interview said, I want to know the theory of relativity. I don't know how many of you picked up that. Drew Barrymore does not look like a woman who would be interested in theory of relativity. But she said, I want to be interested in theory of relativity, and parallelly E equal to MC squared was a book that was released. And in E equal to MC squared, the author says magnetism and electricity are jumping one ahead of each other, and that's why the speed of light is the way it is. You cannot cross the speed of light because at any given point in time, you will be looking at one aspect, but the other aspect has jumped ahead. So that's what I want to now control that with assessment and learning. As you start building the assessment and learning things, your staircase is getting built as you go ahead. There is no fixed staircase. There is no fixed path. That is the world of the future. That's the learning of the future. It's going to get constructed on the fly. And that's the power, I think, in the next 10 years, if we can extract. That's very, very beautiful. So this is one of the process diagrams. Resource requirements, 1 computer per child, 2 sessions minimum from your curriculum per week. That's what we require. We've got a team now headed by Urmila ji, and she's got a full group of people who go to the schools and help the schools in absorbing this new technology, in absorbing this new way of learning and thinking. They have got regular school visits by dedicated support team members, web-based support, monthly reports, media reviews. So it's not that you take this program and that's the end of it. There's a lot of support given. I think that schools that are here will vouch for that. These are some of the features. I'll just show you some of them. So this is a classical multiple choice question. I don't intend to explain the question. I'm just giving you the question types. This is a fill in the blanks where the person has to actually drag this protractor. So it's interactive to that extent. There is a drag and drop where the child has to drag the right thing into it and put it. There is select from the drop down. These are deeply conceptual questions. Okay, so this is again one question type. Proof questions. It's not just enough to know the proof, it's important to know it in a context. So please, this is a reasonably complex exercise. It's not only multiple choice. The objective to show you these question types is to prove to you that MindSpark is just not objective type. It can test very, very higher order thinking skills also. After a set of questions, every time a child gets a series of questions correct, the child is given a challenge question. It says you have earned a challenge question. The framework is now, come on, show your true mettle. Come on, let's do it. And the child, when he gets this challenge question right, he gets some 5 or 6 Sparkies, one big Sparky or something. Sparkies is like the currency for children. And in some of the schools, kids were fighting over themselves to check who's got Sparkies. It's common for them to be competitive in that positive way. So this is a challenge question. There are some interactive questions also, where a dice is thrown and I have to, do something. I have to say, okay, is this it? Is this it? And I won't go to the question, but it is how you interact with that medium. So these are interactive questions. There are remedials. I'll show you one of the remedials. I'll give the wrong answer. Not that I don't know it, but okay. So it says that I have to now say what is ones. So I'll say 5. Huh? Okay, it says what is the digit at the ones place in 2.5. I say, okay, it's 2. So it is correct. Now the core concept of place value is very important for children to know, without which this problem can occur. So parallel to the remedials, I'm actually getting a tutorial on the place value also. So this can go on until I get the concept. It doesn't leave me. So it just keeps at it. I'll show you another one. Where the remedial is on, it starts off with very simple questions and goes to higher questions. So I think it is. It's very patient. That's one interesting thing about this program. It doesn't tell you outright that, why aren't you stupid? Don't you even know this much? Right? It says, okay, let's try again. And it'll keep telling this without getting irritated, without getting, caught up with, past baggages of how the kid had done in the past 10 days. I've just taught you 1 week back and you still don't know. Are you insulting me by giving this question answer? All that, emotional, tam-jham is not there. This Sridhar actually showed so I'm not going to go back to it. So these are some of the features I thought I would just run through in terms of remedial items. We are bringing the enrichment modules, so that is getting built. I'm just going to share some impact. Sridhar showed some of it, but misconceptions are going down dramatically after kids are doing MindSpark. The pre-test, post-test, we do a lot of pre-test, post-test analysis. In pre-test, 29% got it correct, post-test, 45% got it correct. It's not an insignificant jump. Sridhar discussed this one on ability groups, performance and types of questions, conceptual, procedural, problem solving, all show a slightly upward thing. We are now going to Texas. Mindspark is going to be used as a supplementary education program in the state of Texas for children who need remedial help. So it's going to be what is called a blended program there with a tutor and Mindspark. So that's what we are going to try and, it's an SES program, it's a government funded program called Supplementary Education Service. The government gives $2,000 to every child as a coupon to give to the service provider who the child decides to give. A very interesting concept, and that is completely funded by the government, but the government doesn't decide the service provider for the child. The child decides the service provider. It's a 40-hour program at $50 each. So that's where we are going to hope Mindspark can show some magic. Yes, the government does something, yes, it empanels. So it's not like anybody who can go and talk to them. So we went through a series of empaneling exercises. We had to apply once, they rejected it, then we applied again. We showed research proof. We worked with the University of Lansing. We had to do some pilots, and then we got empaneled. So it's quite an interesting thing. Now, this is the exercise that I want all of us to do. We're going to give 2 tablets per table, okay? Not for you to feel awake. These are not tablets to eat. But some of you are slightly, had a good lunch, so it's quite comfortable here. So we are now going to give you tablet devices, just a small background on the tablet device. We've been trying to research the best device available for Mindspark. Currently, we've been working on desktops, but desktops has a cost of ownership which is pretty high and higher in metros, because the cost of that square foot on which you put the desktop is costlier, 10 times costlier than the desktop. And any business owner will say, if I have a room extra, let me make it for teaching, not for support. So that's how anybody will say that I don't have rooms for labs. I have rooms for classrooms because I get a higher return on per square foot invested. So given that reality that is going to be there, we are saying, can the lake come to the thirsty person? So can the computer come to the child? We're trying this out. We'll all try it out here. We're going to have a Wi-Fi system in this hotel. It's uncontrolled by us, so you don't know whether it will work. We're taking a shot. So we will do, all of us, like we did the detailed assessment test. We'll all log in and we will go to a topic. We'll all do a topic and we will see the progress live. So we will see how each one of you is progressing. Your names will not come on the board, so don't worry. Right? So we're going to try that, and after we finish that, then I will ask some of the colleagues who have come from schools to share their feedback on Mindspark. So can we start giving out the tablets, please? Till the meantime, I can take some questions till we set up this. If you don't want your money back, that's okay, but if you want your money back, please fill up the forms. Yes, it doesn't work on Love and Fresher, unfortunately. Its battery lasts for 4 hours on continuous usage. So what we are thinking is there'll be a trolley in which these tablets will be stacked. The trolleys will move class to class. The trolleys will have a built-in charging system. So it's like a docking system. The tablet goes and docks into the trolley. And if it's stationary, not getting used, it's getting charged. You can pull it out, give it to a kid. The kid does it, puts it back into the dock. So that's the way it's working.
The combination of 4.
Right, so I'd request that if 2 people can do the session together, because we have 40 tablets and there are 70 of us. So if you're lucky, you'll get one to yourself, but please share. Sharing is a good thing. It brings people closer together. The cost of this tablet landed to us from China is 11,300 rupees, but the cost is going to drop. This tablet is an interesting device because it has Android 2.2 as the operating system. The operating system is free. I don't have anything against Bill Gates, but I think he's made a lot of money already. Please don't start touching and working with the tablet. Just admire it, hands off. When all of us get the tablets, then when we say go, you can start, because, yeah. We will, when we give it, it will be so packed with Mindspark classes itself, you might not get chance to do anything else, but yes, you can do anything else also. It's like a computer. You can do anything with it, so that's how it is. I would request one EI person to be there at every table. Vinay, Sujay, Chandar, just stand at one table each. Till that time, I'll just take any questions on Mindspark. What we are doing is that we are logging in for you so that you don't have to use the touchscreen too much. The current tablet version touchscreen is a bit shaky. It's not like the iPad. The iPad is amazing. So if you've used an iPad, this will look primitive to you. So we are trying to do the logging in and giving it to you so that you can start off with Mindspark directly. Almost. It's getting better and better. The hardware is getting better and better. The apps are getting better and better. So it will reach there. I don't know. Any idea how much RAM? It would be closer to a GB, but I'm not sure in this. Yeah. No, we've seen that. Okay, there's a question. Can I just have the attention till the tablets come on every table? Madam asked a question that there's a proposition that some of the principals shared that they did Mindspark optionally in the schools. Now, ideally, an optional Mindspark is not a good idea because only a few kids do it and it doesn't get integrated into the school curriculum. But yeah, I understand. But we recommend that Mindspark should be done in school even if it is optional. Because if you give the login password to the parent, the kids don't do it at home. Then the parent comes back to the school and says, "Kuch hua hi nahi, aapne kyun de diya?" So it's like yoga. Unless an instructor comes home, you don't do it. Although you know it's good, right? But ideally, it is recommended that it should be done as a curriculum integrated program for a few classes. Schools, please ask the schools who have done it because they are the best people who can answer that. How did they do it? Which is Cambay कौन सा है? कोई पासवर्ड नहीं?
Everybody can start using the tablet. You can start attempting the questions.
Admin पे कहाँ पे? Is it on admin, EI admin? Demo.school? I don't know whether I press the H. कौन सा टॉपिक प्रोग्रेस क्लास आदित्य Okay, if you see on the screen, for those who are not getting the tablet, we are seeing the topic progress live on the screen as you are doing it. The teachers see it in the labs. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 people have gone live, and the topic progress for these 8 people are being seen currently. Wi-Fi. Just got stuck. So can you just try this? Percentage correct is so low. People who are doing faster are getting it wrong.
Is it just a minute?
Yeah, time taken to answer in minutes. Should be seconds, no? Right, no?
No. Total time.
Total time.
We can make this automatic auto refresh.
Huh?
1.1.
Just press it once more. Okay, there's one group that is already at 40%, so the others need to catch up.
Any table was not got it still?
Loading now. When it's going very fast.
Well, that means that it's taking some time.
No. Already was on the 8th and 9th.
Just do that. Yeah, it will go now. It will go now. It will go now. चलो. So we are at 44% of topic completion already, and we've just कहाँ पे? We're doing an average of 30 to 28 to 30 seconds per question, so the speed is pretty good.
People never got it right.
Huh?
People never got it right. 1.1, 3.2 was like highest. Yeah, but fastest, but progress is very low.
But I'll start with the topic progress and then come here. You talk.
See, I just want to make one point before Sudhir continues. This is where we have to, imagine, that is, we have to just anticipate or look at how is this going to be 2 years down the line. What are the issues we'll face today? Touch is not that good. The Wi-Fi is not working so well. You can be sure that these will get resolved, if not in 3 months, 6 months. I know that when we started off Mindspark in schools 1.5 years back, the internet kind of issues, how much we faced and how little they are now there as issues. So that is the, in terms of technology, in terms of the hardware things. And why is that happening? Because we are doing this at a much lower cost. If you go for something like an iPad, costs 3 times this much, all this worked beautifully. But the technology is catching up, so those issues will get resolved extremely quickly. And it's then for making the program as effective and useful for learning as is possible.
Okay, I'll just request the tablet exercise to end. Chandar? Okay, now I'm just going to run you through if you were children. Please keep the tablet on your desk. We are sure you will not take it away, so that's not a problem. Yeah, I wish it could be. Right, so some of the children want to know who is topped and who is not, so we won't announce those, fast learners and all that. Okay, I'll just run you through what data a teacher sees in a Mindspark class today. She can see live in her class what is happening on this topic, and she can see who has started, who has not started. Then she can see the total number of questions that children have done. The maximum is 25 questions. You can see percentage correct. If I just click on it, it's sorting it on this. So she'll have the names actually. Here we've been politically correct and not given your names. So, and then there is an interesting thing about total time taken to answer in minutes, total number of attempts. Sometimes we have seen some children doing a topic 23 times because they're waiting for the teacher to go on with the next topic and they're doing nothing. So they're repeating it again and again. So this is a bird's eye view picture of the topic-wise progress. You also get student-wise reports. Now this is what is typically called the teacher interface. So in this interface, the teacher has an option to activate topics. So I as a class 5 teacher can get the topic list. So I know that these all topics are available in Mindspark. And I can take a particular topic. I can see what are the questions in that topic before I activate it. These are the sample questions. Sorry. And I can customize the topic based on my syllabus, which is a CBSE, ICSE, or a customized flow. What it says is pre-algebra and patterns has got these learning units, and Mindspark recommends these learning units. CBSE also has these learning units, but a teacher can say, I only want some of these learning units to be given to my children. So actually the path that your children walk on is customized by the teacher to that level of detail. So this is the topic customization. Once she activates the topic, then like we activated fractions, basic concepts for this class. So these all are available. Shapes and spaces is what you did today. Other topics are also activated. Then these are the reports. So what we saw was topic progress. You can see it student wise also. So same class for today. All these are generated on the fly. So here you can see the total number of sessions the child has done, login time, how much time, total questions attempted, percentage correct, average time taken to answer, topics attempted, challenge questions got, practice questions, time tests. So at one screen you get the full picture of your children who are doing Mindspark. And if you click on anything, you can sort that. So you know that the child who has done maximum has got 25 minutes today, 26 questions, 80% accuracy, and 28 seconds per question. The important one that I wanted to show you are the common wrong answers. Now even in this group, there are some questions that have been wrong. Some people have got it wrong. And I'll just take one or two of these cases. This was a topic question that you all would have seen. The most common wrong answer is A. So it tells you that children or students who are looking at this question are making this mistake. 24 students attempted this. Correct attempts were 21. The children who never got this correct were 3.2. Tried it 3 times and didn't get it correct. 3.8 tried it 3 times and didn't get it correct. So you know exactly which question, who has got it wrong, how many times the child tried it. And these are given to you to say, please work on these questions. These are the most common wrong answers. And you can look at other types also. This is another type that students got wrong. Again, you've got 4.3 who got it wrong twice. This question also. Now, because of the touch, something might have happened. I don't expect that you did not know this. It's just that maybe you pressed the wrong thing, could not drag and drop. But this becomes, pardon? Okay, good. So, I don't know who is 4.3, so it doesn't really matter. But this is the power that a teacher has today. She can even look at student trails. So if she says, okay, I want to see the learning trail of one child, I don't know if I... If I want to see how a child has done, so this is how one child attempted. This was the first question, the child got it correct. Second question, child got it correct. Third, fourth, fifth one, the child got it wrong or answered it wrong. Sixth got it correct, seventh got it correct, eighth got it correct. So actually I can see the trail of the knowledge that the child has got as the child is seeing. So if I need to give any child support, these learning trails are very, very elucidatory and help the child a lot. Now all these interfaces have been built based on what schools have requested us, and we've been giving these reports to them based on what they want. So if I have students and I want to see the progress across topics, because there was only one topic here, it's like this, but if I have more topics, I can actually see the topic progress for different children for different topics. So I know who is stuck where. So this was actually a short, kind of a overview on the support. Our team actually comes to your school, sits with your teachers and looks at these topic supports. We've got Dharti, Rupesh, Urmila ji, the whole team is working with the schools when they go to it, to these schools and look at these patterns and ask the teachers, okay, why have you activated this? Why have you deactivated this? Are you looking at common wrong answers? Are you looking at student trails? And this is what we have. So I will stop here on the Mindspark presentation part. You've experienced Mindspark firsthand now. And in the next part of before we wrap up for the day, I will ask